I am in love with this apple cobbler recipe. It is a newer recipe for us. It has perfectly spiced soft apples underneath, a cookie biscuit brown sugar topping situation that is just so delicious. Serve it warm, throw a scoop of ice cream on top. It's the best dessert. You've got to make it.
We're gonna make that brown sugar cookie biscuit topping first.
It's so good.
Oh, it really is. To make it extra delicious, we need butter. If you're hoping for a vegan cobbler, just use your favorite plant-based butter. Toss 12 tablespoons of butter into a small saucepan and then melt over medium heat. Let it cool while we prepare the other topping ingredients. I'm starting with 2 cups of all-purpose flour in my bowl, then adding 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar. I love the brown sugar in this cobbler topping. It makes it tender and so delicious. To help it rise a bit, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and to make sure everything tastes amazing, add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now my butter has melted and cooled slightly, so I can add it along with a tablespoon of milk, use dairy or non-dairy, and finally a splash of vanilla extract. Give it a good stir. I'm using my spoon, but you can use a mixer. The mixture will be pretty crumbly, more like a cookie batter than anything else. See how I can push it together and it sort of falls apart on me? That's normal. Empty the crumbly topping onto a sheet of plastic wrap and then smush it together as much as you can. It's cracking on me quite a bit here, but don't worry. Once it's chilled, it will be a bit more workable. Just do your best to really press it together. Firmly wrap the topping and then slide it into your fridge to chill for 30 minutes. This is where you can relate the topping to more of a pie crust. Chilling the butter at this point will allow us to roll out the dough later on. While the topping chills, make your apple filling. I've got 6 apples here. The apples you use are really up to you. Just like when making apple pie or crisp, I like using 2 varieties of apples for interest. I have Honeycrisp and Pink Lady apples here. We peel our apples and then slice them into 1/4 inch thick slices. For a little more crunch in the end, feel free to slice the apples thicker. For ease, I cut the apple away from the core, then slice the larger chunks into thin slices. It goes pretty quickly. We prepare the apples the same way when making apple pie. Watch until the end of this video for a sneak peek of our perfect apple pie. Now I know this looks like a lot of apples, but trust me, we need all of these apples for our cobbler. I'll be baking them in a large 13 by 9 inch baking dish later. Now toss all those apples into a big bowl. We need some lemon juice. I use half a lemon, as well as 2 tablespoons of maple syrup and 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I love the aroma of the maple syrup and vanilla in this apple cobbler. It really comes through. Let's make sure all the apples are well coated. So use clean hands and toss them around in the bowl a few times. I'm not going to judge if you steal an apple slice or 2. I mean, we do need to check that everything is tasting good, right? Grab a little bowl and whisk the remaining ingredients. First, 2 tablespoons of flour, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, and the perfect blend of spices. I'm adding a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, a tiny pinch of ground cloves, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Mix well and then scatter it over the apples. We want to toss the flour mixture with the apples. I find the best tools for this are clean hands. Okay, so we have our filling and it's been about 30 minutes, so my topping is chilled. The topping is hard now and still a bit crackly. That's okay though, this is more of a rustic dessert, so we aren't going for perfect here. Unwrap the topping and place a sheet of parchment paper on top. The parchment helps my rolling pin roll the dough out without any sticking. As you roll, the dough will crack around the edges. It's okay. Just press them back together like I do when rolling out pie crust. Roll the dough to roughly the size of your baking dish. Check it when you think you are close. I'm close, but I need a few more rolls. All right, here we go. Grab your baking dish and spread a little butter inside. This helps with sticking and adds a bit more butter flavor to the apples, which honestly isn't a bad thing. Now toss in your apples and all the spices and liquid left in the bottom of the bowl. Spread the apples out, making sure that there aren't any big holes. It already smells good and we haven't even baked it yet.
This is when Joanne realized you can see her shoes in the reflection of our oven.
I like being comfy. Now you can try to move the topping over to the apples, but it's probably gonna crack on you. That's okay though. We're gonna steer into it and break the topping into pieces and place it on top of the cobbler like shingles on a roof. Not only is this easier, I also love how this looks after baking. The cobbler browns a little more in the taller places and it gives us some thicker areas of topping which add extra texture when it's all baked. Now our cobbler is topped, we need to bake it. I bake in a 350 Fahrenheit oven until bubbly, golden, and firm on top. 50 minutes to 1 hour.
She's doing her happy dance again.
But look at it. I really wish you could smell this. It's incredible. Let's break into it. The topping is the most delicious blend of cookie and biscuit, and the apple filling below is gooey and warm. When serving, make sure that you get some extra sauce in your bowl. It's so delicious. And of course, a scoop of vanilla ice cream is incredible with our apple cobbler, so you should definitely do that too. I'm telling you that this apple cobbler recipe is the one to save. It's perfect for fall, the holidays, or whenever you want a cozy apple dessert. If you try the recipe, help us out and leave us a comment on the recipe page. Your happy feedback helps inspire others to make our recipes. But wait, don't go yet. Remember that apple pie I was talking about? Well, this is it. So many of our readers have made it and loved it. Our recipe guarantees apple pie with perfectly cooked, not mushy apples, surrounded by a thickened and gently spiced sauce, all baked inside a flaky, homemade golden brown crust. Then for another easy apple recipe, look no further than our cinnamon baked apples. We top halved apples with the most delicious oat crumble topping. They are perfect with a scoop of ice cream. Both apple recipes are linked below. See you next time.